E pluribus unum. The United States of America is not a destination. It's a journey of hundreds of years, and God willing, hundreds of years into the future. We are the stewards of that philosophy, that set of ideals. Every generation must confront the challenges and opportunities as we travel that path.
Good morning and welcome. We're really excited to have you here. This is the second year Lead New Jersey has come to Islamic Society of Central New Jersey. So welcome. You're the second group for the seminar. This is our masjid. This is the masjid that my family goes to. This is the masjid my father-in-law leads. My children come, and we live here in South Brunswick.
The reputation of this building as the Islamic Society of Central Jersey, which started in early 70s on paper, but on physical land, 1983, this room was established. It was too big for 5-6 Muslim family. When we have the grand opening here, everybody was coming from this door or that door. Oh, it is too big, you lost our money, why you make it too big? Nowadays, we have at least 22,500 exactly human beings walking in this building every day.
And I took my daughter to the grocery store with me. It was my 9-year-old, at the time she was 8. And we were walking through one of the aisles. It was a candy aisle. And her mom's a doctor, so she's very strict about what the kids can eat and they can't eat. And so she is lobbying me for some candy, and I'm having a debate with her because I like Twizzlers and she likes Sour Patch Kids, and I was lobbying for the Twizzlers. But as we were having this discussion, I saw a scene unfold that I've seen so many times in my life, unfortunately. I saw a mother and a child walking towards me, and the kid and I locked eyes. And as he was coming towards me, I knew this was going to go in a couple of directions. Either he was going to go the terrorist route, or he was going to ask me for 3 wishes. And I've got great answers for the 3 wishes, but the terrorist route always throws me off. And as he walked by, unfortunately, he went that way. And he turned to his mom, and he says, "Mom, look, Osama bin Laden." And I'm there, with my 8-year-old at the time, just thinking of what to say, because I never have a good answer for that type of interaction. And unfortunately, it's a frequent interaction for me still.
I have to tell you, I mean, as a Muslim man growing up in America, it is a challenge. At first, maybe I was, I didn't adhere strictly to the religious, belief system, or maybe not as tightly as I would have liked. But over time, as I got older and married, kids and all, I think I found myself just going back, and I think a lot of people find that. Sometimes as you get older and you get more settled in, you go back in. And I'm not going to call myself a super Muslim today, but I mean I find that I enjoy being sort of deeply rooted in faith, and it just means a lot to me. And I have no problem sharing that with people wherever I go. In fact, at work, and Megan, my colleague here from the Geraldine R. Dash Foundation, I mean, they know when it's prayer time for me, I close my door, I put a big post-it note on my door, and I say, "Prayer in progress." And people know. And I have no issue with that. And I don't hide my religion, I don't hide my Islam. And it's really, it's not an in-your-face approach, but it's just a level of comfort that I've gotten to, and I have no problem sharing that with people.
And I will mention the 3 names. First name is my name, Hamad Shibli. Second name, Reverend Dave from Presbyterian Church in Nassau Street in Princeton. And before it is the Jewish Center, Rabbi Adam. 3 of us work together. In one day we have this seminar here in the mosque, we move it right away to the church, right away to the synagogue. What I discovered, and 3 of us who are asking each other question more than who is a terrorist among you. Yes? I come to the point to put a question, and both of them were honest to answer it. I said, in Islam, we teach about Christianity and Judaism more than we teach about Islam. Why? Because the Quran, 2/3 of the Quran about Moses, 1/3 about Jesus, the third about Muhammad. My question to you as a rabbi, as a reverend, what do you teach your people about Islam, and how much you know about Islam? And both of them still alive. Both of them said, we know zero about Islam, and we don't teach every Saturday or Sunday anything about Islam.
So obviously there are stereotypes around the turban. It's interesting that Jimmy started off saying that a lot of times when somebody sees a turban, they correlate that with the Muslim religion. 99% of the people that you see wearing a turban in the United States are actually Sikh. So that's just something to know. The majority of the time is somebody practicing the Sikh faith. Just for your information, there's over 700,000 Sikhs in the United States, with a concentration on each of the coasts, and also a large concentration in the middle of the country, is really the Illinois area. Also, I think a large population in Texas now, but they really are all over the country.
So the Sikh faith, actually both men and women can wear the turban. I think it's more of a cultural thing that men tend to wear more often, but both men and women tend to do wear the turban. And the turban, like the actual meaning of what the turban is supposed to be, and it kind of goes along with the uncut hair, is that it's a sign of, I guess, a symbol of social justice. It's really weird that I'm going to say that Nick Cannon actually explained this properly, because he actually started wearing a turban about a year ago, and he he explained it as it's kind of like a police officer's badge. If you see a turban, it's supposed to represent someone that you can go to if you're ever in need of help. And it's supposed to be intentionally to stick out in a crowd. The other significance of it is that it's supposed to be, at the time, royalty wore turbans, and then you see a lot of people who were in power wear turbans. It's supposed to be a symbol that everybody has power, everybody should be treated with respect, and everybody should be treated equally, and that everybody is a king, and everybody should be treated that way.
So in the state of New Jersey, there is no such thing as a biased crime. There are categories of crime that if they're motivated by bias or hate, that they're aggravating factors. So there's, I think, a list of 7 crimes, whether it's assault or homicide or harassment, and things of that nature. There are enumerated crimes. If the motivation for committing that crime, this is where it becomes hard to prosecute, because you have to get in the head of the person, and it's not always easy. But if the motivation is born out of some sort of hate or bias towards a protected group, then that's an aggravating factor, and you can charge it as a bias incident, or rather a bias crime. Bias incidents, that's where you have the line between the First Amendment. What kind of, I could say something like the kid in the grocery store, bias incident, not necessarily a bias crime. But if someone hits me and it says, I hate all of you, you go back to your country, bias crime.
But what I think is really interesting is that here we are in 2018, and we're still dealing with a lot of the problems that we saw in 1913. But they've sort of taken a new direction, a new shape. Maybe the wording is a little bit different, maybe the actions are a little bit different. Not just in the world of anti-Semitism, but in the world of hate bigotry. But what I think is really remarkable is the way in which we go and combat those forms of hate. So while we're dealing with 21st century problems, organizations like mine are using 21st century solutions to attack those 21st century problems.
Because we serve Mercer County, our core focus is really on the Princeton and Trenton area. And as Josh said, really at college campuses we've seen a lot of uprising, not only in the creation of groups that are anti-immigrant, which is what our focus is, but also just out in the general public. So in Princeton, could have been more than like 3 months ago, overnight, sprung up flyers all over town, in front of the library, in front of the bus stops, on campus, off campus, saying report illegal immigrants. And there was the hotline for ICE, for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And the Trenton area and Princeton as well have already seen really heightened enforcement in comparison to other parts of the state, not including New Brunswick. That's another like really hot spot that we've had here in the state. But so in Princeton, there's been 5 raids in the last 9 months. And in Trenton, we're seeing about a raid a week, a raid every other week, roughly. And so a raid can be 1 person gets detained, 5 people get detained, 10 people get detained. I'm sure you guys are watching the news. Just in Tennessee, 2 days ago, 53 individuals were detained. at an employment rate, so a workplace rate.
And so, on the criminal justice side of the house, unfortunately, we have had to do this. We have now a hotline to report bias incidents and hate crimes in the state. We have a reward. Unfortunately, we had to put out a reward to encourage people to report information, a $25,000 reward for information leading to a prosecution for a hate crime. We have constant educational efforts. We go into town halls and community meetings to talk about these issues, to encourage more reporting, to make people feel more comfortable reporting these crimes. So that's constant. We just also launched an initiative that we call 2121. It's the 21 county 21st century policing tool. And so I'm going to all 21 of the counties, and we're encouraging all 21 of our county prosecutors to hold 4 town meetings, community meetings. They decide who to invite, they decide if it's going to be clergy and community, whatever the makeup is. The first one's going to talk about officer-involved shootings in the first quarter. The second one's going to talk about bias crimes. The third one's going to talk about immigrant protection. And the fourth one's going to talk about the opioid epidemic. So my hope is that we'll seed those first 4 conversations in these counties, but then it continues afterwards, that they continue to have these dialogues. And so we're going to address the issue of bias, and it ties to the what we're doing with respect to immigrant communities, because I think you touched on that as well.
It's been said for decades, probably centuries. Oh, Americans can't have that conversation. You build it up into some big thing like, you dare not. We don't know how to look each other in the eye. Yes, we do. I want to say that emphatically. Yes, we do. Where there's trust, where there's security, where a vulnerability can be attempted, because you ain't gonna be slapped down or denied. That doesn't mean we're gonna agree. That doesn't mean your reality fits mine. But we can talk.